Sunday, Monday, Cappy Days. Tuesday, Wednesday, Cappy Days. Emily Kaplan joins Jay today, bringing the NHL news to you.
Oh, man. New animation for a new season of Cappy Days with our friend Emily Kaplan from ESPN. First of all, Emily, great to have you back on the show this year. How was your summer, and how excited are you for this upcoming season?
Jay, my summer was fantastic. I finally learned how to golf, so I have something to talk to NHL players about. And that new and improved animation was so good. I'm just a little worried I'm not new and improved enough to match it. But I appreciate being back.
I love that you're back, and I love the fact that you get to cover Connor Bedard so closely because you live in the Paris of the Midwest, Chicago. Connor Bedard is already debuting in the TSN Top 50 Players list despite never having played again in a game in the NHL, which we will surely be ridiculed for. But you'll be ringside for his debut next Tuesday. What are people around the Blackhawks organization saying about Bedard and his first training camp with the team?
So, Jay, people around the league are obviously talking about him. In fact, over the weekend, I asked 3 veteran NHL players, 3 pro scouts, what are your expectations from Bedard based off just what you've seen and heard so far? Not one of them predicted less than a 60-point season. One scout told me 30-plus goals, 80-plus points sounds reasonable to him. And obviously, they are seeing this firsthand in the Blackhawks building. He's just got that it factor. You know it when you see it. You guys have probably seen some of these visuals from training camp, him staying on the ice a couple extra hours to shoot pucks, him not wanting to get off the ice when it's 3-on-3 and overtime, saying, quote, I like hockey. And if you talk to the guys in the Blackhawks, they'll say, you know, you can talk to the teenager about anything, but if you talk to him about hockey, that's when you see him really light up. And they even take note about the way he talks. Like, he'll say things like, if I make the team. And I think, Jay, that just shows how dialed in he is. He's just so focused at the task at hand. And that's what it's going to make him really successful. So, look, the Blackhawks are in a rebuild. They are hoping to surprise some people this year. But they know with that kid on the ice, and I'm going to tell you, he's going to make the opening night roster. They're going to be a lot more entertaining to watch this year.
I believe that's an excellent prediction by you. You know, we go from a rebuilding Blackhawks team to an aging Pittsburgh Penguins team. And Kyle Dubas has sort of remade this team a little bit, but you still have the veteran core of the trio of big names. What are the expectations, Emily, in your opinion, for this Pittsburgh Penguins team this season?
Well, Jay, I actually had a really good chat with Sidney Crosby a couple weeks ago at the Player Media Tour in Vegas. He identified the 2 biggest reasons they missed the playoffs last year. One was inconsistency. And the other, they did not win a game in regulation against the Devils, Islanders, or Canes, so they know they have to bear down in the division. But Kyle Dubas comes and he resets and he signs a bunch of new players, a lot of quality NHL-level players to PTOs. And I'm told at training camp that added this new level of energy, this real sense of competition that's setting the tone for the season. And of course, there's that extra juice when you sign a player or trade for a player like Erik Karlsson, who's coming off an 100-point campaign. So I believe the expectation for the Penguins is, as long as goaltending holds up, this team is going to be in the playoff mix. And then if they make the postseason, they're going to be a dangerous threat just because of that experience and also the coaching that they have.
The Boston Bruins are so intriguing to me, Emily. You lose Patrice Bergeron and Dave Krejci. You trade away Taylor Hall. Brad Marchand is the captain. Milan Lucic is back. This is a team that had the best regular season ever last year and then flamed out in the postseason. So what's the vibe around this team now heading into this season?
Well, Jay, I was actually in Boston last week doing a vibe check, also working on a feature story on Milan Lucic. And talking to the guys, you know, they're really proud of what they accomplished last year. And they're not dwelling on the way that it ended. I think it's like a lesson for all of us, right? Like in life, you're just one Brad Marchand breakaway away from a different fate. You know, there's no doubt, though, Brad Marchand is not Patrice Bergeron. He inherits that role of captain. But the work ethic that Brad Marchand has and the standard that he's going to set, they believe is going to carry on the tradition that Patrice Bergeron and Zdeno Chara set for that team. I also feel like Lucic being assigned there is a really underrated addition. He just brings positive energy. His vibes are something that the younger players are going to want to gravitate towards. So this team is not as deep as they were last year. However, they still have star elite level players in every position group. So I personally don't think they're going to have as big of a drop off as a lot of people are predicting. I don't think they're going to suck. I think they're going to be okay.
And the Lightning are so fascinating as well because this is a terrific team. There's no question about it. But two major issues have come up, and they've come up in the last week or so, Emily. The Andrei Vasilevskiy back surgery, which will keep him out at least a couple of months. And maybe even more concerning than that, Steve Stamkos coming out first day of camp and saying he's not happy that Julien Brisebois hasn't engaged him in contract talks for an extension. It seems a bit bizarre that nobody's even talked to Stamkos. What's the situation around the Lightning right now? Do you feel like they're on a downward slide, or can they continue to be competitive in that Eastern Conference?
It's tough to say. There's no way to sugarcoat it, though. Like, the Andrei Vasilevskiy injury is very significant. There are a few goaltenders in this league that have the importance that he has to that team, the way that he steals game, especially when you know the workload that he has. And then when you think of the Stamkos situation compounding it, you realize Julien Brisebois defines himself as a crossroads. And he's clearly been trying to starve off a rebuild for a couple of years now, retooling on the fly. He's trying to create this new core. You see them sign Mikhail Sergachev to an extension, Brandon Hagel. Like, these are the new core players they need to build around. But they also know that to become competitive for so many years, they have left their prospect pool and draft pick pool completely dry. So the one thing that I do know about Julien Brisebois is he doesn't leak a lot of information. He's not even talking to his captain. He's not talking to me, but he's very aggressive. His front office acts with conviction. So my sense is no matter how the season starts, depending on how it starts, I'm already picking this team as one that's going to be a team to watch at the trade deadline. I just don't know which direction they're going to make these aggressive moves in.
It makes it so intriguing. The season beginning a week from Tuesday when Emily will be ringside for Connor Bedard's debut. And Emily's going to join us throughout the season here on SportsCenter with Jay Onrait. Great to have you on the show, Emily, and we'll talk to you very soon.
My pleasure. I'm just going to try to get better every day to match that theme song.
Listen, it's a low bar. After the break, Scott Mitchell will join us from Minnesota ahead of the Jays Wildcard Series with the Twins. That's next.